Hey y'all, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are when you see this video. Thank you for joining me, Dorothea, on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. It is October 18th, 2025. I'm going to be talking about use of nuclear weapons in World War III. What do the elders or saints say on this? And I have two I want to share with you. One from Metropolitan Theophilus and one from Elder Joseph of WWIII. So we're going to start with the first one. Metropolitan Theophilus. And let's see what he has to say.
Nature will rebel. Craters will open suddenly in cities, and they will sink apartment buildings. Unusual earthquakes will take place on account of the unnatural things which are happening. A man of God, the one I told you about earlier, who had prayed to see where Elder Evmenius was, and who was shown the heavenly hierarchy of the saints, of the modern saints. That same person lives somewhere secretly, and I won't uncover his identity, ever, because we have need of the secret and hidden saints. And I asked him with curiosity when I saw, not so much the Turkish ship coming, the Fatih, or whatever it is called, coming to drill. I've talked about these things some time ago. The saints told me these things would happen. They are not my own words. And one associate of your husband, a government minister, who is a responsible person, came to me, and we spoke. And for them, the ones in government, they must know how holy people see the future events taking place, and according to their faith, may they act. If they do not take action, God will dismiss them and put others in their place, because Christ will not allow for orthodoxy and Hellenism to be lost. We will be tested, so that we can remove all the sin which we have done to ourselves. We need an operation, a large operation. And this operation will take place by means of the World War. Everyone will be frightened, even if Cyprus does not take part in the World War. Not Greece nor Cyprus, but our neighbors will. Some will even have nuclear weapons dropped on them. Chernobyl affected so many people.
Okay. So he says right there.
People even have nuclear weapons dropped on them.
Okay. So Theophilus, Metropolitan Theophilus, he said this May 22nd, 2019. And he's sharing, he always goes by what the saints have said and elders. And he tells people, which is great. So he's saying even some will even have nuclear weapons dropped on them. And there's another time where he says that they'll be dropped in that area of Turkey or Middle East area, Syria, I think he also said. So that's what he is saying, which is quite frightening when we all know what the damage is for even one nuclear bomb, let alone several. So let's see what Elder Joseph says. He's talking about, he ends here where he's talking about when the Antichrist shows up. But he now says, however, terrible world-shaking events shall occur before we reach that point. So then, let's see what he has to say.
Point. Geronda, which of those events you have spoken about is closer? The war, my child. The war, the conflict, is much closer to us. That world war shall occur. It is necessary and it is already being planned. The only difference, it seems, shall be that no nuclear weapons shall be used. For how will it afterwards be possible for life to exist in such a narrow area? What had occurred during the First World War when chemical...
Okay, so he's saying it can't happen because there wouldn't be anybody left on the earth, including plants and animals. He talks about the history of using chemical weapons and how they were used on people, but then he said that they weren't used because they understood what was the danger. Later on, they didn't want to use any. But they have used them, as we know, because chemical weapons, like biochemical weapons, like white phosphorus was used in the Iraq War, which was horrible. I mean, this stuff is just terrible. terrible these people create and invent all these terrible things to kill one another. It's really, really very sad. And so he's saying that you can't have nuclear weapons. So he's saying that they're going to be forced to abolish them. And it is out of providence that life is not destroyed, because if nuclear weapons are used, life will be destroyed in its entirety. The world of the animals, the world of the plants, and the things that have no feeling, which is what I just said. God will not allow that, despite nations and people having extended themselves to this point. For within the conflict that will occur, because it will happen here. It cannot happen otherwise, no matter how we interpret it. And he says, now the Westerners, who are the principal actors, will strike at the communists. They are manic about doing that. The communists are here. They cannot be elsewhere. They, the Westerners, are therefore amassing so as to come here and strike those who are here. It has existed ideologically, but in practice it has not. They are not like the Americans, who have bases here and there throughout the world. The Westerners are congregating here so as to strike Russia. And it is therefore true, you see it from the fathers here in the Mediterranean, in the Greek regions, in Turkey, in this region, that the great conflict will occur. But as it has been described by the fathers, that the conflict will take place here is revealed by the sequel now. It cannot take place elsewhere. Whether life will even exist after the war will be determined by whether nuclear weapons are used. For if nuclear weapons are used, not only will there be no life here, but there will be no grounds left for it either. He's saying at first he said there's not going to be any nuclear weapons, because it would destroy everything and there'd be nobody. And then he said God wouldn't allow that to happen to his creation. That's what I understood. But here he says whether life will exist after the war will be determined by whether nuclear weapons are used. So if nukes are used, not only will there be no life here, but there will be no grounds left for it either. And since we know that people are present at the second coming of Christ, then perhaps there won't be any nuclear weapons used. I hope that's true. But then, like I said, Metropolitan Theophilus is saying that there will be some used. So whether or not it's used or not, well, that's his. He's saying that all depends. So all we can do is pray that this doesn't happen. I don't think anybody really wants nuclear weapons to be used. Anyway, share your thoughts if you think that these weapons are going to be used, or if they aren't. And thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for following my channel. Until next time.